Good evening, everyone. Thursday night here on the channel. That means Redline Racing, Cory Harts Media Premier Series racing action as the championship round reaches its halfway point tonight here at Iowa Speedway. One more race after tonight will determine our series champion for Season 5, and it remains a dogfight within the top 5 and some drivers enter tonight with a bit of work to do, hoping that this race here in the heartland of America will help them turn their fortunes around and go into Florida with a better opportunity to win a championship. Myself and Cody Webster here to call the action. About 4 minutes remaining in the practice session. Parker White, a 3-time winner so far this season, not part of the playoff picture like Colleague Racing, trophy hunting. Sitting at top of the leaderboard in practice, Nick Miller, who has been second in a number of races this season, running P2, and Brody Garner, who enters tonight's race in a bit of a deficit, sitting P3. Jordan Kuhn, Sartaj Man, top 5, so your championship 5 drivers making themselves very well established inside that group. And about 3.5 minutes left in this session. Cody, what are you expecting out of the race here tonight at Iowa?
Honestly, a lot of lack of grip and hard racing and close quarter racing, and probably contact that you don't want to have is going to be inevitable here. Kind of races like a mile and a half here, but at the same time a short track, and it's very bumpy. So you want to kind of think, put Atlanta, well, the old Atlanta, obviously new Atlanta's repaid, Atlanta, and like maybe a Bristol or maybe a Richmond, I could even say, probably more Richmond together, and that's what you get here. So it's definitely going to be entertaining to see who comes out on top to win and who can make maximum amount of points here tonight in the top 5.
2 of our championship 5 drivers, now 3 all in this picture here as they work through turns 3 and 4. You got the 19 of Nick Miller, Sartaj Man, the 49, and driving away from both of them is the 99 of Jordan Kuntz. Coming into tonight's race, Jordan Kuntz finds himself in close proximity to the 19 in points, only 2 points outside of the points lead entering tonight's race. And for Jordan, when he gets a victory, he's able to string together good runs, and winning back at Dover earlier in the playoffs and coming to this round with another top 3 finish at Las Vegas to kick things off. Jordan Kuhn's looking to build on the momentum and maybe try and unseat the 19 from that position. But look at Nick Miller. He has been incredibly strong so far during the playoffs. 3 podium finishes in the last 7 races. And he's finished 12th or better in every playoff race so far in this current run. So really, you're seeing these drivers perform at the top of their game, and it's only going to have to get even more perfect as we get closer to Homestead next week.
Definitely. I mean, we look at Jordan, and Jordan's really come into this winning and obviously having a great finish last week, but we spoke to him last week on the broadcast. I heard you spoke to him, and he, even when I spoke to him outside the broadcast, outside of racing, he said that Iowa and Homestead are 2 of his worst tracks, and he actually said he's never had a top 5 at Iowa. So it's really going to be interesting to see what he can pull off here tonight and what he can overcome. He's definitely going to have a really strong finish. Noted Nick Miller on a tear, and he rarely finishes out of the top 3, so he's going to be a force to be reckoned with coming in at the championship leader.
Watching these 2 drivers work their way around the corner, 49 getting into the wall there. Don't want to do that during the race. 19 exiting turn number 4, coming back to the start-finish line here. About a minute left here in the session for practice, and the only driver who's part of the championship picture who has yet to run a lap here in practice, and not much time left to do it, is Blaze Brinkley. Going to see what he's able to do here when we get into the qualifying session and see what kind of pace he has. We know he has a tendency to run toward the front, especially in the early goings of these races. 6 stage wins so far this season could be a benefit to him coming into tonight's race. 10 points out of first place. Maybe those points could be pivotal for him. Really, I think for drivers like Brody Garner and Blaze Brinkley, stage points will be critical tonight.
Oh yeah, definitely. Points, anywhere you can get them, now it's go time. So you're going to want to finish in the top, I want to say top 3 in stage, and then finish top 3 in race. So you're really going to have to maximize the points and even lead laps and stuff like that. So you're going to have to go think outside the box and get track position, and really take care of your stuff tonight to really optimize all the points.
Absolutely. The last few seconds went dwindling away here in practice. The 25 back on the track here, Landon Mills. He was piloting a 55 last week when we made a stop in Sin City, Las Vegas Motor Speedway for our opening race in the championship round. He's back in his primary number, the 25, here for Nebula Esports as we get ready for qualifying here. And we'll, of course, hop in and find one of our playoff drivers to ride along and get some experience around this really tricky oval. It is not easy to run here at this track, and we'll ride along with one of these drivers and kind of see how you approach this place, because really it's one of the more difficult oval tracks I think here on the service, and certainly when you watch the races here on television, it's not easy to run Iowa, as we watch Brody Garner exit the pits and begin to make his qualifying lap. And he'll
Yeah,
stop and slow down and maybe get himself adjusted there. But as you were saying, yeah, it's not one of the more easy tracks to get used to, all the way from how you run your line, passing, that pit road too.
oh yeah, definitely. I mean, you're going to probably see a lot of different people run, especially in 3 and 4. 1 and 2 is kind of tricky. 1 and 2 is really bumpy. It's actually bumpy right against that yellow line on the inside, and it's really bumpy up high. So you really got like 2 lanes you can work with in the middle. You can make the bottom work, but you got to be more thorough with it. So Brody run the kind of middle line in 1 and 2 right there. That's pretty much the optimal line you're going to want to run. But if you get any higher than that, there's bumps up there that will throw your line off and actually carry you towards the wall. So it'll be interesting to see what lines they actually run here in qualifying, and definitely early on in the race, and if we get long run in the race.
Absolutely. Right now, Jordan Kuntz holding the top position on the board as he comes around to complete lap number 2. Let's see how that stands. Here's Latham Joyner, part-timer here, making an appearance toward the top, but he gets immediately unseated by Jordan Kuntz, a 23.72 for Jordan there. So he's currently holding on to the pole position right now, 5 times on the board, and then Brody Garner will leap up there and grab that position away in the 55. So seeing the championship drivers make themselves known here in qualifying as much as they did in practice, with Sartaj Mann clocking in the 4th position here. So at least right now 3 of your 5 championship 5 drivers clocking inside the top 5.
Yeah, well, we know they're gonna have to try to get every point possible. 1 point up there is the pole position. If you get the pole, you get a point. So we know Brody Garner, after the unfortunate last week, throughout the whole entire week for him, he's definitely looking to get every point possible. So if he can get the pole, that'll be 1 point where he can gain on everybody else in the field.
Nick Miller now into the 3rd position, so trying to close up on the likes of Brody Gardner and Jordan Kuntz. Not quite enough, though. The 19 clocks in into the 3rd position. Sartaj Mann drops down to 7th. No time from Blaze Brinkley in the 98. He has yet to run a time around this track so far. We only have 9 on the board as other drivers look to get their final moments here on the track about halfway through our qualifying time. And, you know, this track is one of my favorites on the schedule. I like how difficult it is to run around here. It's so hard to make passes. You're kind of banking on 2 things: a mistake out of the driver you're racing, or them just cracking under the pressure of you riding behind them and just constantly having that bumper millimeters away from the back of their car. So really, it's more about also the, I guess, not letting the stress of the situation get to you, and it's amplified by the fact that we have drivers who are contending for a championship here. The top 3 currently all championship contenders, and then Sartaj Mann back in 7th. So again, you're seeing that pressure here, and this track is not easy to pass. Every position is going to matter. Those points there on the upper right corner of the screen show the situation our playoff drivers are in. It's going to be a high pressure situation here tonight, and you got drivers who are also going out there just to try and get good finishes and get trophies.
Well, yeah. I mean, the one guy we're probably going to look at is Parker White that's in this race. So obviously, we know whenever he shows up, we saw last week he wasn't here, but then we got a Coca-Cola, esports, NASCAR racing, whatever you call that series. They changed it so many times. It's a pro series, well, the peak series that it used to be. Driver come in here and win. And now this week Parker's here, so you know he's going to be a threat. Now, obviously, he's just here for trophies. And then you got, like you said, the likes of everybody else trying to win the championship, and then other notables in here trying to win the race. So you got Cole Williams in here also too. So you got some fast guys that are just here to mix it up and put pressure on these guys, take spots away from the guys that are in the championship battle.
Yeah, we talk about the fact that we started the playoffs. We saw a number of those races go to non-playoff drivers, those victories. Kicking off at Talladega with Benjamin White going to victory lane at Talladega. Then Parker White grabbing a couple of wins right after that. After the Blaze Brinkley went to victory lane in Richmond. We saw Parker White get some wins there. Finally, Brody Gardner breaking through and getting a W, then followed by Jordan Kuntz getting a win at Dover, and then right back to that trend again with Dylan Alt going to victory lane at Las Vegas. So really just an ebb and flow here. The playoff drivers having to do some work to try and compete with these drivers who are just running for a trophy.
absolutely. But it's going to be a great race tonight. It's going to be, like you said, how difficult this track is. It really messes with your mind of where to run. Like I spoke earlier when the practice was ending, and you obviously got to keep your momentum up with this track. So uh, it's definitely going to be. It's definitely going to be an interesting race. It's going to be a crazy one, to say the least.
Absolutely. As we get ready and everyone gets gridded up here, waiting for our pollster to go ahead and join us on the track. But as we wait for them to populate there, I want to talk about the track facts here at Iowa Speedway. About 0.8 of a mile of an oval here, just a little bigger than Richmond Raceway here in the Commonwealth of Virginia. The banking, 12 to 14 degrees around this facility, 150 laps on tap. That equates to about 131.25 miles. 4 tires waiting for them, or sets of tires rather. How would they try and manage with just only 4 tires here at this track? I can't imagine trying to run a race with only 1 set waiting for you. They'll have 4 waiting for them on pit road for tonight's race, and stage length 37 laps. So you're going to move through the stage pretty quick here. You saw how quick they were in qualifying. You're looking at 23 to 24 second lap times. They're going to be clicking those laps by pretty quickly, and before you know it, it'll be the end of the stage. And then really, I consider it to be go time for these drivers. It's time for them to go and get up on the wheel, and now that they've had that reset and prepare for that long run. And as we've seen throughout these playoffs, the long run has been a recurring theme throughout the first few races of the playoffs.
Been a recurring theme lately, as far as long runs and tire. But the long runs actually save the guys, to be honest, because they don't have to use those sets. But if you get a rash of yellows, then you kind of get a different strategy. We've seen that also. We've seen that happen when Jordan Kuhn did a different strategy one race. Even Blade Brinkley did a different strategy when we got an early caution. So you really got to. 4 tires seems like a lot for 150 laps, but if you get 4 or 5 yellows, in a quick period of time, that's when your strategy starts getting thrown off. So you really got to manage that and keep that in mind, and realize how many tires you're actually using all at once.
Absolutely. The other thing to think about is when you start seeing those yellows, you start to get those drivers who want to gamble as well, opting to go ahead and try and save a set to play the game of maybe a late caution. We'll see how it all plays out here, but Sam, you got the 55 starting on the front row for tonight's race here at Iowa Speedway. 2371 will start him in that position. Jordan Kuhn will join him on the front row with Nick Miller, Latham joiner Noah Allison, the top 5. Sartaj Mann, Storm Patterson, Blaze Brinkley, Colton Lights, Cole Williams, your defending series champion, completing the top 10. Landon Mills, Malachi Drake, Henry Tabor, Aaron Brown, and Parker White, your 15 drivers who will take the green flag when we get underway here. And be a fun night of racing at this track. And as I mentioned, I really think we're going to see that long green flag run play out once we start getting settled in to this run where they get a bit strung out. You see less side-by-side racing. Then it kind of becomes an endurance race. And that's not just a reference to the fact that we have the iRacing Daytona 24 hours this weekend. It's going to be an endurance race in this oval. This track is not easy to run. It wears you out running around here. You got 150 laps on tap. You at least get that break in about 37 laps, but it's not going to be easy once you get past that break and you start getting those runs just chained together.
Got a few guys electing EOLs back here, the 95, 42, and 25. So fast guys starting in the back, fast guys starting up front. We'll see how this plays out tonight and how hard they push early on, because a lot of guys have things that they're going for. A lot of guys don't. They're just going for trophies. So we'll see how it plays out.
You see the points on the upper right corner of your screen. Nick Miller, starting in 3rd position, enters tonight as the championship leader. Jordan Kuntz right there with him, and Brody Garner 17 points back. He's trying to get himself back in the picture as we go to Homestead next week. The pace car's in, getting ready for the green flag here at Iowa. It's going to be a fun night of racing on a Thursday night. Green flag is in the air. We're underway in the championship round. Coming off turn 4, side-by-side battle for the lead. Jordan Kuntz hangs on to it as now Brody Garner settles into the 2nd position, and already seeing the drivers begin to single file out through the field here, particularly through the top 6.
Yeah, that was actually a great start by Jordan Kuntz. I mean, I heard Brody Garner thinking that he wanted to take the outside for the start, but he didn't, and that just left the door open for Jordan to get a great run through 1 and 2. And man, look at the different lines these guys are running through both sets of corners. You got guys running high, low, mid. They got a lot of racing room on both corners.
And you saw a bit of a bobble there in the rear of the car for the 55 in second position, trying to hang on to that car. And you went out there and did some laps here to try and get an understanding of that as the 24 catches the wall there off turn 2. How is this car handling on exit around this track if you get a bit of a traffic jam on the exit 4?
It's loose. You got to hang on to it. I mean, you got a lot of wheel in it, and then the car just gets really light off the corner, both corners. More so, I want to say, well, I can see the 48 actually get really high. Those are the bumps I was talking about at 1 and 2. You don't want to get that high, but he gets in the wall. Wow, Storm Patterson just put him in the wall a little bit right there. But he gets light more off of turn 4. But actually, turn 2, coming out of turn 2 is weird. You kind of go uphill and it dips down. So both corners are really tricky on the exit.
You see one of our championship drivers snaking his way around that bit of calamity there, working through turns 3 and 4. Now out of 1 and 2 is 98 of Blaze Brinkley, still down 1 spot, sitting in the 9th position. Got pressure coming from behind in the 18 of Aaron Brown. He's coming into this race 10 points outside of the championship.
Another thing you want to look for, we said it's going to be loose. You're probably going to wear the rear tire, but you'll wear the front tire. That Blaze Brinkley gets sent sideways, and caution comes out.
First caution of the night on lap number 6, hangs on to it, is the 98 of Blaze Brinkley, and everyone gets to slow down and reevaluate their race as we get a caution in the first handful of laps here at the Iowa Speedway.
Looks like Aaron Brown just drove it in a little too hard, but luckily for Blaze Brinkley, he did not hit anything, which is good.
Yes, absolutely. Locking it down there, keeping that car off the wall, right off the wall to 90, making evasive action to avoid the sliding 98. And no harm, no foul for the 98 there, able to hang on to it. He'll drop back into the field, falling now down to the 15th position as we jump back to live pictures.
But now, caution comes out of lap 5. I think it's too early to take tires, but some guys might think otherwise. We know Blaze probably might have to after that spin. Latham peaking. Don't see anybody else. Aaron Brown, Malachi Drake, Cole Williams, and Blaze Brinkley are coming down.
So the quartet making their way into pits here as we sit behind the pace car. Jordan Kuntz out front leading this race over Brody Garner, Nick Miller, Latham Joyner, and Noah Allison, the top 5. They remain steady from where they started the race, and a quiet start to our night aside from that spin, or that slide there in turns number 1 and 2. The out front settled down pretty quickly there among the top 5.
Yeah, I think, the top 3 have the same game plan. They need to be there. They need to, first of all, get to the stage, because you want to get points. You don't want to wreck out before the stage that you miss out on those points, and then obviously you're not going to finish well either. But they have the same game plan. Then you got three guys behind them. They don't care about the stage. They're just there for track position and try to win the race. And then you got the 49 of Startide Man, another playoff driver, who he's in the same boat. So definitely going to be interesting to see what type of moves they do on this restart. But you got to definitely miss the strategy, and that's probably why it calmed down so early for the top 3.
And we talk about the upcoming restart here. Probably in the next few moments we'll get that 1 to go signal from the pace car and the flag stand. Restarts here are difficult as well. We talk about just trying to get the car going, not just on the start, but also carrying that speed into turn number 1. The challenges of trying to get back going here will be pretty difficult for these drivers. How do you approach a restart here at Iowa?
Careful tires, Ben. I believe there is some here, especially with these cars, how much horsepower they have, and obviously how much horsepower they put into the rear tires. And then obviously, realize you're on, you're not on old tires, but you're definitely on, not fresh tires. So you got to adjust yourself for going into turn 1 and 2. So, it won't probably be this difficult this time, but if you maybe have 15 laps on a tire, then it'll be a little different. But I do hear that Jordan Kuntz is going to take the outside on this restart to give him another advantage to keep the lead here over Brody Garner.
Absolutely. So getting ready for the restart here, Brody Garner will look to the inside line for this restart. Jordan Kuntz will be the control car once we get back around on the exit of turn number 4 and get our restart. Nick Miller, Latham Joyner sitting there inside the top 4. Noah Allison 5th. Parker White up 10 spots tonight already, sitting inside the top 6 in 6th position. Startage Man, no progress made for him, but also no positions lost for him, sitting in 7th. Storm Patterson, Colton Lights and Landon Mills to top 10.
Well, we have some issues going on with Blaze Brinkley right now. He has computer issues for the second week in a row, and he disconnected. So hopefully he can get back in here and get back in this race. But that's not going to help him at all.
No, not at all. Like we've been mentioning, 10 points entering tonight's race beyond the championship position right now, and having some challenges here early on in our night, but still a long night here as the pace car makes its way in to pit road, and we look to get back going here as we're back under the green flag here at Iowa. They're already side by side forward at second position, the outside line trying to get working for the 19. He'll surge back through apex and off as now the battle for that position continues, and Jordan Kuntz may face some pressure from a surging 55 of Brody Garner down into turn number 3.
Going for it. He wants to lead some laps. He's going to try to do the slide job. He did not complete it. He might be giving up 2 spots here. Nick Miller's going to look 3.
3 wide down into turn number 1. This is an aggressive move here early into the race, but everything is on the line for these drivers here. You've got drivers who are fighting for the championship title and drivers trying to get themselves back into the picture here. Low side, Brody Garner. High side, Jordan Kuntz. Fading back a little bit is Nick Miller as he loses the front nose there. The 55 up the track, down low goes the 99 of Kuntz.
Well, you wondered how hard they're going to push early on after this restart. Well, you got your answer right there. Brody Gardner's showing no mercy. Nick Miller's showing no mercy. Jordan Kuntz showing no mercy. So they're going for it. 3 wide didn't work. Slide job worked. So it's a lot of different lines, a lot of different attacks, and wow, this is crazy already early on into this race.
Jordan Kuntz closing the door on the advancing Latham Joyner. Now he'll have to settle for the 3rd position, and we're back to where they started the race on the front row. Brody Garner out front leading the race, and Jordan Kuntz in the 2nd position.
And you want to mention Latham Joyner, he's been MIA this season. He's had some issues as far as, keeping his motion in check, not being here, not being able to race. And, you got to think of this track. I mentioned it's kind of like a short track. He loves short tracks, and you see him running 3rd. So obviously he knows what he's doing when it comes to these type of tracks. So it's glad to see him back. Glad to see him running well and definitely putting some pressure on his front too.
Speaking of pressure, right there in the middle of the field, the battle for the 4th position continues between 2 Toyotas. The 19 of Nick Miller, the 95 of Parker White down into 3, driving it in deep goes the 95. And those Toyota colors surging off the apron of turn number 4. He'll look to grab the position away as the battle for the lead begins to warm up again, and now cools back down once we get our eyes on it. Brody Garner back out front, and the 3 continuing to work the upper lane of this track, trying to close the gap on the 99 of Kuntz.
You're actually seeing a lot of fast guys, especially like Parker White, using the bottom in 1 and 2 and really riding, and even in 3 and 4, so he's making up a lot of ground. He started 16th in his race. He's up to P4, and we're only lap 16.
Great speed out of a lot of cars up here right now, and we see that very often out of Parker White. He'll start toward the back of the field and quietly work his way to the front. Now already 17 laps in, up 12 spots on the night. Still work to do if he wants to try and lead some laps here and win the race. He has 3 wins already this season, winning at Indianapolis Road Course, Charlotte Roval, and a lone oval win this season over at Texas Motor Speedway in the playoffs. So some recent success for him, 2 wins in the playoffs, even though he's not a playoff driver.
Yeah, not a playoff driver, and I think a lot of these guys, as we mentioned it several times, are thankful that he's not a playoff driver because he definitely go on a tear and he will not stop winning. And, honestly, I think of it like this. If one race, I know we have some fast guys we have one fast guy that shows up week in, week out, whether it be Parker White, we saw Dylan Alt last week. If one race, we could just have, the lovely fast guys show up to really compete to see who is the fastest of the fast, like the likes of Parker White, Dylan Alt, Vicente Salas. We all remember him on the channel when he was running away with things. You even got Cole Williams, and then obviously adding the fast guys this season, Brody Garner, Jordan Kuntz, Nick Miller. I think that would be an incredible battle. Wishful thinking, but I would love to see it.
Absolutely, and right now things again cooling back down. We see the action surges and quiets, and now we're back into more action as they work down into turn number 1, down to the low side of the track, as Cody alluded to, them using the low side and the high side effectively across the different parts of this track. 99 looking to try and make a move there, couldn't do much with it. He'll settle now and go back to the high side, and now the 3 will look to the low side of the track as they work their way off turn number 4.
Yeah, Jordan Kuntz is using that outside in 3 and 4, really getting a run to turn 1 and 2, but the bottom is just, he can't do anything with it. So now he's going to try to set up Brody, maybe look to the outside, and maybe get a run going into turn 3. to maybe do a slide job. I don't think he's close enough to do that. He'd probably be alongside of him, but it looks like he's going to try to set up Brody again. Brody's going to go block the outside. You can see what Jordan Kuntz is doing, and that just slows down Jordan's momentum and allows the 3 and the 95 to catch up to them.
You see the front four all within about half a second of each other, and even Nick Miller closing up that gap as well, 0.8 back to him. So seeing his great battle continue to unfold here, Sartaj Mann dealing with some traffic, trying to pull away from Storm Patterson and the 24 of Noah Allison. He's sitting in the 6th position, so the majority of our top 5 playoff drivers sitting inside the top 6.
Yeah, they're doing well, and Brady Brinkley actually rejoined the track, so he's back 11 laps down. Obviously, computer issues we have in the league. He'll get those lucky dogs and a wave around when caution flies, but he has to get enough caution for that to happen, so we'll take care of him. But he's currently 15th, 11 laps down, so he's the only guy in the final 5 that's not on the lead lap. So, you know, the other guys are really doing what they need to do. You know, you see Sartaj Mann having a great battle with Noah Allison right here, and then the other 3 up front running in the top 5. And this battle for the top 5, I'm impressed with how the top 5 are just staying close to each other. I know it's hard to pass, and you see the 95 of Parker White looking underneath the 3 of Latham Joyner really be able to make the pass here. It's going to be tough, but we know Parker can do it, but he cannot get clear of Latham off the corner.
You get such momentum on the exit of these corners, it helps you surge back out front of the car you're fighting with on entry into the middle. If you're able to keep that momentum going as we watch the exit here off the corner, can the 95 clear? He tries to, and I think there was some generosity there out of the 3, allowing him to complete that move there, will allow the 95 to move into the 3rd position. I think that was a bit of give and take there from Latham Joyner, because you saw the back out just a little bit there on the exits, and the 95 was able to get the position.
Yeah, a little give and take there. Obviously, you wanted to hold him up as long as he can, but once you get to that point where you're barely there on the outside, you don't want to put yourself in a jeopardy of getting put in the wall right there, so obviously gave him some room. But I was actually going to say, last time by in turn 3, even right now watching these guys, there's 3 different lanes being used. You got Latham using the middle, you got now Parker White's up closer to the wall, and then Nick Miller using the bottom. The other time it was the opposite. Nick Miller was in the wall, next to the wall, Latham was still in the middle, and Parker was on the bottom. So it's crazy how many different lines they can use here, and tires do wear, so I guess it really doesn't matter where you put the car as long as you make ground on the track.
I think it's all about experimentation. You're seeing these drivers just try to find something. What is that X factor that's going to help them get the positions they need? And so far, seeing the drivers just experiment and play around with different lines around this track, and they're all keeping together as well. You see on the scoring monitor, the top 5 all within 1.2 seconds of Brody Garner, and just behind them, Sartaj Mann about 1.4 back. So they're trying to keep this gap going here, but they're able to stay with each other as well as they try to experiment with lines. But for Sartaj Mann, while he was 1.8 behind Nick Miller, he's about nearly 3 seconds behind the leader, Brody Garner. So maybe once he's freed his traffic, he can try and close that gap, but certainly a little more work needs to be done for that 49 to try and find some speed here this evening.
Yeah, definitely. And if you look at Jordan Kuntz here, he's running 2nd. Nick Miller's battling for 4th right now, currently in 5th. That's a spot where Jordan Kuntz wants to be in, because obviously if they would exit the race just like that, he'd be the points leader. Brody Garner looking for maybe a little more issues out of Jordan Kuntz. He would be able to gain on Nick Miller where Nick Miller is at right now. Not a lot, but definitely some, and it would help his cause going into next week. So a lot of you guys have different agendas. As Nick Miller gets by Latham Joyner, Latham just lets him go. Obviously Nick Miller's quicker, but you know, a lot of different agendas. Brody's trying to lead a lot of laps, trying to get the stage winner. Parker White's now going to challenge both these guys. Oh, wow. I don't know if that was give or take right there. That was close between Jordan Kuntz and the 95 of Parker White. That was another case where maybe last second Jordan Kuntz backed out, because that would have been bad for him.
So now Parker White up to the 2nd position, setting his sights on Brody Garner in the 1st position at 55, competing with the 95. And that's been a recurring theme this season. We've seen that car be toward the front here a lot this season, Parker White in that 95. But you know what's interesting when you look at Parker White and his performance this season, really it's feast or famine when he's out there on the track. When you talk about his performance, an average finish of 12.8 despite having 3 wins, 15 starts, 3 wins, but 9 DNFs. It's literally feast or famine. It's either you're in victory lane or you're not. It seems like when that 95 is running, and right now he's trying to be on the right side of that line, trying to maybe get that next victory here, but he's got to get through the stage, but he's got to close up on Brody Garner here a little more if he wants to try and win the stage.
Well, you know what, Parker, he's just here for trophies. Obviously, running part-time. He got those 3 wins, obviously. But when he has an issue, he does push the limits. We know he pushes the limits getting on the pit road. All of pit road, pretty much. In, exit, getting in his box, he pushes the limit. So obviously, when he makes a mistake there and gets a pit road penalty, it ain't no sense for him to stay in there, really finish the race when he's not running for points. So obviously that's where the DNFs come in, and obviously he does get into some accidents, but that's not for him really making mistakes. That's for the guys really putting a lot of pressure on him and the guys around him making mistakes, which leads him to get caught up in it because they're pushing so hard just to try to beat Parker.
Yeah, absolutely. We go back to the Truck Series months ago when we saw that rough spell he went on during the summer. He really had a rough time in the month of August, but was able to get back into the picture and compete for a championship there. And now we might see a competition for the stage win here, closing up very well through turns 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 is 95. And Jordan Kuntz hanging tidy with them as well on lap number 36. The laps are dwindling away here in the stage.
Not dwindling away. We're coming to with 2 to go right now, or 1.5 to go coming right now. And Parker White gets really sideways. Wow, he's really pushing and trying to get to Brody. It's interesting. These guys are buddies. Will Parker let Brody have the stage win, or will he challenge for it? I don't know. We're coming to 1 to go right now, so let's see what happens.
The pressure continues here. The front 3 looking to battle for the stage win. It feels like, remember when we watched Nick Miller and Brody Garner fight for the stage win back at Dover. Hopefully we don't see anything like that, but we might see a good spirited battle here. Great rotation despite the loose condition of 95 down into turn number 3, driving it in deep there. Can he make it stick through the corner, sliding up the track? You have to let off the gas there, gets sideways, and he tries to hang on to it. And he'll close the door from 99 and cross the line in second position. And Brody Garner will be scored as the stage winner.
That was an incredible chance to go for it, and he definitely went for it.
So Brody Garner getting that stage victory here, and the 95 getting it all to try and make a run there at the end off of turn number 4. Got sideways there, was able to hold off Jordan Kuntz there. I think Jordan Kuntz maybe just backed out of it. Doesn't play it safe coming to the line. He'll finish in 3rd position. Nick Miller, Latham Joyner, Sarge Hodgman, Landon Mills, Storm Patterson, Noah Allison, and Henry Tabor, the top 10.
What a great battle to the end right there for the stage.
Absolutely. So now these drivers will get to reset here and get on pit road and get 4 tires and fuel. The majority of the field did not pit during an early caution around lap number 6. We'll see what the drivers opt to do here. Likely all coming in 4 tires, fuel, full service for them as we see the 98 passing by. Looking to get some of those laps back that was lost following that computer issue, but pit road will be open for these drivers.
Be interesting what they do here. It should be all 4 tires because I definitely think they dropped off pace-wise, but who will finesse it the best?
Absolutely. We look at the times here for them as we watch the entire field file onto pit road. During that run, best lap for Brody Garner was a 24:01. That fell back pretty decently there during that run, about a few tenths there. So you're looking at the drop-off being significant for them, and that's something we'll be certainly tracking through the night here as we run here at Iowa, because even though it's a pretty quiet night here, pretty cool, overall we hope that weather for you to see there, 65 and 68 for that track temperature. It's still going to mean it's not going to be easy to get around this track. It's going to be so important to maintain and protect those tires during these runs. As a race off pit road, Brody Garner first out of the pits, and then Parker White out in second. Latham Joyner, Nick Miller, Landon Mills. Looks like Sartaj Mann will come out 7th, but Jordan Kuntz just ahead of him.
Jordan Kuntz lost a lot of spots there on pit road. I don't know if there's an issue getting to his box or what, but definitely a lot of time lost there, and that's going to hurt him on this restart coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. He's going to have some work to do here, down 4 spots now, back into the 6th position. Parker White regains and maintains 2nd position, up 14 spots this evening, looking to try and make it 15 by grabbing a position away from Brody Garner. What a great fight we saw for that stage win there a few moments ago. But Brody Garner getting pivotal points there you see on the right side of your screen. He comes into tonight 17 points out of the championship position. And when you're in that situation, it's all about getting all the points you can. He's already gotten the pole award, so that's a point in his favor, leading a lot of laps here as well. It's all about trying to rack up as many of these bonus points as you can to erode that deficit and also be able to get yourself a solid finish tonight.
Yeah, definitely. And Jordan Kuntz is definitely going to have some work cut out for him, and So with other guys too, try to figure out how to beat Parker White, but if you beat Brody Garner, he's really coming here and you know, really put on a clinic like I knew he was going to. Leading the most laps so far, so he obviously had to make up for last week. He had a fill-in driver, but obviously fill-in driver had some bad luck, so obviously 17 points out. So he's trying to make it the most. And right now, he has a gap right now on Nick Miller and Jordan Coons, and leading the most laps right now, and getting the stage win. So it all adds up. Just how does he finish the race? That'll be the question.
There's a lot of what ifs and unknowns as we look toward the end of this race, but it's still a ways off. We still got over 100 laps left on the docket here at Iowa, and you look at that stats, 2 wins and nearly a dozen top 10s in the last 12 races. The 55 have been incredibly consistent, but now that's not to discount what we've seen out of the other drivers so far here to playoffs, especially later in the playoff rounds here where we are now. But for Brody Garner, it's really been about consistency throughout the season here and getting these 2 wins and 11 top 10s and 12 races. This is when you want to see that performance coming on. And even though it's top 10s, a lot of those top 10s were top 5s, especially in the playoffs.
Yeah, exactly. So Brody's definitely done a lot, and he's going to be hard to beat if he can definitely overcome. If he can make a bold point tonight, then next week's going to be crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be wide open there as we look to get the 1 to go signal. The cars are getting 2 by 2 here as we look to get the restart. Brody Garner, he's 5th in points, but he'll restart first on the track right now with Parker White on the inside line, and then Nick Miller, Latham Joyner, Jordan Coons top 5. Landon Mills back in 6th position. Sartaj Mann, Noah Allison, Cole Williams, Colton Light to top 10.
Quick answer to someone in our chat. Kurt W67. Cole Williams did not get any damage. I think he's doing what he usually does, just rides around. So he'll probably be a force to be reckoned with at the end of this race. Just wanted to answer your question.
Cole Williams is always just lurking back there and shows up at the most opportune time for him, and that's the mark of a champion. Your Season 4 Series champion making another appearance here. It's been great having him back in the car, and he'll look to try and work his way through the field here. But out front right now, the 55, Brody Garner, looking to try and pull away here as the green flag comes back out. We're back underway here at Iowa. The battle for second back underway as well, as we've watched that happen on pretty much every restart. A fight for second gets underway pretty early. The 95 and the 19 jockeying again, as we saw them do earlier in the race.
Well, now they know they won't have a lap 37 caution, so now it could go green all the way to the end. So how hard do you push your tires, and what does the fuel load look like? Because this is a shorter track, you probably go longer on fuel, but how do the tires going to handle, and how hard do you really want to push it early on?
Down to the low side, riding the yellow line is Nick Miller off of turn number 2. Latham Joyner fighting with Parker White. And now that battle cools down as Jordan Kuntz now looks to apply pressure, losing spots on pit road and now trying to get those spots back here. Finished the stage in 3rd. He's now fighting for, right now, the 4th position. He'll get away from Parker White, who's fallen back to 5th here during this run. And could we be seeing maybe some tire strategy already playing out from the likes of Parker White?
He hasn't left that bottom, and he's letting everybody just go by on the outside, so he must know something, and he's taking it easy. And Jordan Kuntz said, nope, I need my spots back. Jordan Kuntz is going to look for 3rd on Latham Joyner coming out of turn 4 right here. He's going to get a run. He's going to peek to the inside. He's trying to make those spots up to what he messed up on pit road.
Down low goes the 99 to 3, mounting not much of a challenge there as the fight for the lead may begin to heat up again as the 19 and the 55. 2 foes we've seen fight a lot on the track for first position this season. Look to duel here going into turns 3 and 4. It cools down momentarily on the exit of the corner. As we saw the 19 get a great run and a bit of momentum there off of turn number 2. Settles down for a moment, and we'll see if the 19 reevaluates what he can do to try and get this position away. But lately, it seems like he's been rotating 1 really well. Maybe the 55 picked up something there and figured out what he was doing. Keeps him at bay for now.
Well, remember, the 55 needs to beat Nick Miller by a lot of spots in order to make up all those points tonight. So obviously, he's not going to give Nick Miller the lead. You give someone the lead here, you lose track position. So, but here comes Nick Miller. Nick Miller might push the issue and go for it. Nick Miller has something to prove, and he wants to make it harder on Brody Garner going into next week. So he's obviously not backing down. And maybe if these guys get racing really hard, contact, whatever gets made, it opens up the door for Jordan Kuntz.
Absolutely watched them race their way on turn number 4. It's been a great show so far, coming to lap number 50 here at Iowa Speedway. And The reason why I pointed out just the way the 95 was letting people go by, it reminds me of our defending series champion, Cole Williams, and how he would have a tendency at some of these tracks last season to just let other cars go by. I think Bristol jumps out to me as the main race he did this tactic at. He would let cars go by and then he would gradually pick them back off as the long run progressed, using his fresh tires to his advantage. I guess we'll say not fresh, but maybe not as worn in tires to his advantage. And perhaps seeing other drivers identify that now. Cole Williams still back there in the 12th position, down one from where he started, and now Parker White nearly winning the stage, falling back to the 5th position, and has pretty much held steady from there.
And now everybody runs the bottom, so, Parker White, I say probably 10 laps, he'll probably start making up some spots and get back up there. Obviously, saving a tire do what he does best, but like you mentioned with Cole Williams, he used to do that all the time. I think the big noticeable one was Bristol, if I'm not mistaken, in the Cup car, when he gave up a lot of spots, and we were wondering what happened to him. And all of a sudden, I think it was like end of the race or end of the stage or whatever the case may be, and he's right there running for the top spot. So he knows what he's doing. Obviously, these cars are different than what the Cup cars were, but these cars do wear the most as far as tires between the 3 top series in NASCAR. So I feel like it could play the same way here. And obviously, we see what Parker White does best with saving tires. So he's showing us what we've seen before out of the likes of Cole Williams back in previous seasons. That Cole Williams is actually running back in. He's actually running back in the pack. I think he's in 12th right now, or battling with Henry Tabor. So he hasn't really made any progress yet, but the race is far from over.
Long night ahead for the 42, but as you see there, his part-time pace has been pretty strong. 3 top 5 and 4 starts this season. It's been pretty consistent overall for him in terms of being able to get to the front, but now just has to power through and get there first. Lap number 55 in the books right now. He's settled in right now in the 12th position behind Henry Tabor, who has had kind of an up and down season himself, but trying to find some glimmer of success as we look towards season 6, which when we look at season 6, we'll get a look at his schedule next week when we go to Homestead, Miami, and I'm excited to be able to showcase what we're looking for in that schedule. There's some returning favorites coming back and some shakeups to how the playoffs will look as well. So a lot of things to look forward to as we eye up season 6, which will be coming a little bit closer to the springtime this year.
Yeah, definitely coming up shortly, and we'll get a little bit of break from the racing after next week, but definitely these guys are eyeing up on next season, and there's a lot of notables returning for next season, like we stated. I mean, I'll just mention a few. I do think Cole Williams is returning, so he'll be a familiar face we see, and we have been seeing him lately run a majority of the later races in the season, so it'll be good to see him back, and we'll obviously see the top 5 in points come back, so that'll be great. So a lot of old returning faces. Hopefully we'll get some fresh blood in here too, mix it up with those guys and see if we can find maybe the next Dylan Nault Parker White combo. That would be great to see in this league. We've seen it in season past.
Absolutely. Lap number 58 on the docket for these drivers. Brody Garner leading the night here. Like we said, he has been on a great run so far with 2 wins and 11 top 10s in the last 12 races, and looking to build that momentum here, but he's got some pressure coming from behind, and I think when you look at the point situation for him, 17 points behind first place Nick Miller, it almost mirrors what we saw the fight for 5th position back at Dover was between Landon Mills, Jordan Kuntz, and Cory Harts. That was a tight battle until the end of that race to get that position. Ultimately, Jordan Kuntz being victorious there. Similar situation we're seeing shape up here between the 55 and the 19.
And obviously these guys are doing math in their head. There's a lot of, if Brody does what he needs to do and wins everything this race. Obviously he didn't get the pole, but no, he did get the pole. If he wins everything this race, maximize the points. I mean, really, he did what he needed to do. So obviously he's trying to do that and make it hard for Nick Miller and show Nick Miller that going into Homestead, which I do believe Brody is good at. I mean, make it hard for Nick to go defend title, or even Jordan Kuntz to defend their championship and defend off Brody Garner, who's been the favorite all season.
Yeah, speaking of our playoff drivers, as we see the 19 lunge to the inside, will wait there, and the slide job not quite working. Now the 55 goes back to the inside. This may leave the 19 vulnerable to the 99 down the backstretch here, so an aggressive move there by the 19, not quite working out there, now leaves him exposed to the 99 coming off turn 4, and he'll lose that spot as a result.
I think that was the wrong corner to do a slide job, because like I mentioned, it's so bumpy on the outside that you don't want to go too high up, and we've seen that happen with Nick Miller, and now Nick Miller just is now stuck on the bottom, and here's Jordan Coons trying to take over second spot. So this is definitely, like I said, how hard is Nick going to drive? And he's going to try to do a slider. He ain't going to clear. He's going to even lose more position. Maybe you just need to settle in and regroup, and definitely made those tires angry for the past couple laps.
Yeah, absolutely. Trying to find some speed there. And, you know, when you're talking about a situation like that, when you do the slide job and it doesn't work, you're immediately on the back foot and back from being on offense into immediate defense. And we saw what that looks like there between the 19 and the 99. And ultimately, solid defense from the 99, forcing the hand of the 19 to try and force him to back out there. He does, and now he's not only losing time, he not only lost the spot, but now losing time to the front two.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you do a slide job or you do those type of moves when it's just you and the leader and you have no one behind. You don't have to go on automatic defense right away. But when you got guys right behind you, you just gotta really just make your bumper wide and try to protect yourself while attacking, which is really hard to do. So obviously, seeing it didn't pay off for Nick Miller there, and now Brody Garner's under attack from Jordan Coons, because Jordan Coons has been trying different lines, and once again, Brody's going to try to have to defend, and we already seen him move up last time in 3 and 4, as Nick Miller gets a challenge from Parker White back there for a third spot.
The fight for first and third position continues on turn number 4. Brody Garner maintains the lead here, but falling back another position after that failed pass there a few laps ago from Nick Miller. Now Parker White moves back into third, up 13 spots tonight, and Nick Miller continues to fall back into the field.
Yeah, while we talk about these guys and they're battling really hard, I really don't want to miss a beat. I want to give a good shout out to, we already mentioned Latham Joyner running 5th right now. He's been running top 5 all race, so good shout out to him. You know, being fast and, you know, having knowledge to keep his car up there. But the guy right behind him, Noah Allison, we haven't seen him much this season either. He's running P6, actually ahead of our championship 5 driver Sartaj Man. So he's having a quiet, solid run just outside the top 5. So kudos to him, keeping that car right where it needs to be on lap 67. So hopefully he has a good, strong night. And he's definitely shown that he has pace to keep it up there right outside the top 5.
Absolutely, and speaking of that driver who's just behind him, Sartaj Man, we haven't mentioned him much this evening because he hasn't really been a factor in terms of this top 5 battle and fight for the lead that we've seen a lot this evening, but he comes into tonight's race solidly inside the hunt for this championship, 4 points behind championship leader Nick Miller. And you talk about his performance over the last few races, 4 top 5s in the last 5 races, including 2 third-place finishes. It's been a strong run for Sartaj, and that's helped him get into this position here, including that win back at Martinsville and that non-points paying win at Darlington in the All-Star race. But tonight, a bit of a muted performance from him. He needs to find a little bit more here on lap number 69 and try and get himself to be part of this picture if he doesn't want to lose sight of these drivers going into Homestead next week.
No, definitely not. And honestly, with him, it's one of those things to where this is how he ran all season. It's gotten him to where the point he's at right now. Obviously, there have been issues throughout many races this season where it eluded him to a win. It's eluded him to top 5, top 3s, even top 2s. But I stated the one driver that would probably have a hard time with this round would be Sartaj, just because he does not get the stage points, and those are really what you need definitely in this last round. So we see the battle for the lead heating up big time between Coons and Brody Garner. Sartaj, he needs a little help, and with him not getting as much stage points as the top 3 in points, he's going to need something big to happen here tonight. If not tonight, then next week.
Yeah, you talk about not being able to control your destiny, that cliche phrase that we hear every time we talk about championship battles. Well, that's certainly where we find some of these drivers in the position they're in right now, kind of in this race, but right now drivers trying to take the reins of that or grab life by the horns. Any cliche you want to use there are the ones we're watching right now, the 55 and 99. Close battle for the lead. They're nearly swapped positions a few laps ago, and now that's cooled down, but now the 95 Parker White rejoining the fray here. Remember, he fell back to nearly about 6th place, and now is working his way back into the top 3 and trying to set his sights on Jordan Coons going down into turn number 1.
These guys battling so hard and forgot about maybe, you know, Parker White. Maybe Jordan Coons knew about Parker White coming. That's why he was trying to get the lead so bad. But, you know, they battling so hard. Parker's just lurking, riding that bottom, and he's making it work. And now it's going to be probably a 3-way battle for the lead here shortly.
Absolutely. Coming to halfway in our race here at Iowa. Only one more race after that as Homestead will decide our champion here So this is a pivotal night for these drivers in the Championship 5, and you're seeing them lay it all out on the table here. Losing touch with the leaders is Nick Miller back in the 4th position. Sartaj Man hasn't really been part of the lead battle much of the evening. Blaze Brinkley computer issues relegating him to being -5 laps down. Was down as many as 11, so he's gotten about half of those back, but needs one more caution at least to get back in the fray here. And then you see these two drivers have really been part of the picture so far this evening, 55 and 99. But Parker White continuing to surge and try and put up pressure to get himself another victory here this season.
Yeah, let me ask you something about Jordan Coos. You see his run here tonight as we're just over 75 laps in, halfway through this race. If he told you he's not good at this track and you looked at his performance so far, what would you think?
I mean, I would put it as it's a situation where you don't want to reveal all your cards sometimes, and you can downplay your expectations and then be pleasantly surprised. We'll put it that way. I think we've all found ourselves in situations where we'll say we're just not strong at X racetrack, and then all of a sudden you're walking away with a podium, a trophy, a pole award, or something of distinction there, and it kind of just takes you by surprise. So it could be that, but also we know that the 99 is also very adaptable on these tracks. Our entire top 5 is made up of drivers who have been able to adapt to the challenges that has faced them this season. It very well could be that. Learning through practice and qualifying, looking back at the replay to understand what other drivers are doing, and learning on the fly. And we're seeing it pay off for this driver right now, the 99, looking to continue to apply pressure to the 55 and the 95 of Parker White. He's right there watching all this through the windshield of his Supra.
Yeah, watching really closly. They ain't giving an inch right now, which is great to see, and I love it. Love the different lines that each driver's taking. Love the defense mode that Brody Garner doing, and we've seen that at 1.5 miles a couple of races ago when he had to change his line several times. I think it was Atlanta when he had to change his line several times just to hold off drivers behind him and keep them at bay, and he was able to do it there and doing it here, where this track might not produce a lot of dirty air problem, but it definitely can throw off the guy behind you when you just get your car in front of them.
And you know what's really interesting as we ride along with them, and we'll stick with this angle for a little bit as they work off turn number 1 and 2, is when you come off that corner, watch the 99, watch the body language of the 95. You'll see they kind of climb this hill there. They kind of go a little bit downhill down on that straightaway, so that's where you're getting that speed from, that you're seeing these drivers use an outside line from. It's like you're kind of just being sent down a gentle hill to give yourself a little bit of a boost of speed there. It pays off for these drivers playing defense or offense when they're applying pressure, and now they're all coming together here toward turn 1.
Yeah, they're all trying to run higher and higher and higher, and here goes Parker. He ran higher than Jordan. Can Jordan keep? Oh man, that's going to put Jordan in a bad spot right there. Parker got to his outside, and really that was just Parker just pushing the outside higher and higher and higher, and he made it work, but it's going to make Jordan Coos lose the spot right there. Now Parker's going to try to attack for a P1 spot.
And if you talk about that situation that we just watched between the 95 and 99, it's very similar to what we saw in Vegas just last week, where when you're that car that's able to apply the pressure on the outside, now the car on the inside is the one who has to be the one who has to let out there, because that car on the inside line relies on being able to climb that hill to keep the momentum in their car, and it's either you let out of it or you both collide and crash. So you're seeing that trade-off as they work their way around this track, and then when you're put on that inside line, you're instantly on defense, and you sometimes just have to back out of it and re-examine what your approach is going to be at this stanza of the race. But Parker White taking advantage of the situation. He's now up to second. Brody Garner now facing a lot of the 95 and may see a battle here momentarily.
Yeah, really. I mean, Parker's just good everywhere. So Brody's probably seen the pass that Parker was able to do on Coons right there and try to protect his line but not give him the outside, and Brody's going to pinch right here to try to keep him at bay, but we might see a slide job right here with Parker. Parker might send it. He does. Parker's going to send it big time going in the corner. Will Brody come back with a slide job? He will. So now they're battling side by side, and Coons is just like, all right, come on, some contact made. Let me take the lead.
Great battle across the line, down into 1. The 55 will get the position back, and now the 95 will try and figure out what he's going to do. He'll go down to the low side of the track, and you know, it feels like I'm watching Vegas again, not to keep going back to last week, but just seeing these drivers go from low to high to low to high over and over to get the advantage over each other. And now continuing to apply pressure for the lead is the 95, the 55 on the outside. He continues to maintain his presence there. And now the 95 will drive it in deep into the corner. The 55 will follow suit on the outside. Who will get the advantage? Apex off. The 95 will. Parker White to the lead.
Wow, what a crazy battle there. A couple slide jobs. Barely put someone in the wall. That was close quarters racing, and really Brody did everything he could to try to keep Parker White at bay. But now you got to go into offense and defense mode, because now Brody's in the middle of these two. So now it's about, okay, now I'm in second, settle down. Just got to hold the guys that are battling for the points behind me at least. And then at the same time, what are my tires like? How hard did I push them? And what is my fuel like?
Those are great questions as we quickly approach lap number 90. The last time these drivers were on pit road was lap 39. A couple of drivers pitted on lap 41 just before we got the green flag. So pretty much everyone on the same fuel cycle right now. And you know, as we're now 88 laps into the race, you're certain to be talking about fuel and tire strategy here and when you're going to bring your car onto pit road. And when we talk about pit road, it's not the easiest to get on. It's kind of off just to the left when you drop down to the apron there. It'll catch you off guard. You see the green light there for the entrance to pit road. You gotta be careful, and this place is notorious for speeding penalties out of drivers heading into the pits. 40 miles an hour sounds easy, but when you've been running around this track at a pretty good clock, lap after lap, you can get a little bit heavy-footed there and end up catching a speeding penalty unintentionally.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like the past couple of weeks, we've been talking about pit road a lot, but I didn't really think I set the schedule up like this. The past few weeks have been difficult pit roads. We got to mention we were at Dover, we were at Atlanta. Las Vegas is not easy either, and then you got Iowa. So, and with how many times we've had green flag pit stops, I think in every one of those races, we've seen issues out of a lot of drivers, even championship drivers. So definitely, I set up I set up the track to where the tracks where like tough pit roads, the final races. So it may come down to mistakes and who makes the least amount of mistakes. And we hope Jordan Kuntz is one that already made mistakes. We still have no clue what happened on that one and only pit stop he made so far. But you know, he's hoping he got his mistake out of the way, and now he could just get a great finish and not have to put himself even further behind.
Looking at his last pit stop time, at least, it was a very sluggish stop compared to the other drivers around him. He had a 16 seconds time in his box where he was stationary. That's compared to 14 to 15 seconds for everyone around him. Everyone pretty much was in the 14s on that pit stop, at 16 for him. So perhaps just might have been a situation where maybe he drove into his box a little bit too deep there and had to back up. So that's where you normally lose about a second or two. You have to get the car corrected to begin service. That could have been factored into his incident there. But right now, back in the picture here, sitting third, started second. Brody Garner started first, back in second. And they've all checked out from the likes of Nick Miller, who is currently 2.2 seconds behind Parker White and 1.6 to Jordan Kuntz.
Well, I was going to say the front four really checked out from the pit. If you go all the way back, you got to go 4 seconds behind Nick Miller alone to go find Latham Jordan. And then new guy in 6th spot, Landon Mills, has climbed his way through the field. He took an EOL in the beginning of this race. He's up to 6, so it's great to see him coming through the field. And Sartaj Mann back in 7th, who is 9.2 seconds behind the leader, with getting an attack here soon from Cole Williams.
Cole Williams slowly working his way through this field here. Like we mentioned earlier when we got the green flag, could we be seeing tire strategy playing out here? And this track benefits drivers who are understanding of how to conserve your tires at a track. And that's one of the things I learned working with different experienced iRacing drivers, is understanding how to manage your tires in a long race like this. And Cole Williams slowly working his way up into this position here, now sitting in the 8th position, trying to apply pressure to Sartaj Mann to get to 7th. When we look back at his season so far, the 42, 2 second place finishes for him, both at Atlanta and Chicago. Ironically, those 2 tracks are where we saw Brody Garner go to victory lane.
And we have first pit stops of the leaders right now. Latham Jordan pitting from pit spot. I'm thinking he's splitting this run up in half, because I was thinking these guys were last on pit road around lap 38 to 41. That's 60, almost 60 laps on tires, and you got under 60 to go right now. Why not split it in half? And Latham's going to be the first one to take it to pit road.
Yeah, majority of the field last time they were on pit road was lap number 39. That includes our race leader, Parker White, Brody Garner, Jordan Kuntz, and the rest of the company behind him there. going back to about 7th place, and then Malachi Drake came back in perhaps for a splash just before we got the green flag there on lap number 41.
A lot of different strategies. Who's going to be able to make it work? I mean, Latham was definitely 7 seconds behind the leader, so obviously with him short pitting, he's probably just going to make up enough time to get to the front and then probably relinquish it once everybody takes fresh tires. But these guys definitely slowed down. Their fastest lap time in qualifying was 23.7, 20, even practice 23.6s, and they're running 25.1s. But it kind of levels out. It gets to this 24.9, 25.2 second area, and it just leveled out with tires. So really, those new tires are going to be definitely going to be beneficial to Latham, but it probably hurt him on the long run. But we're looking at a 1.5 drop off on tires so far.
Absolutely. Now Jordan Kuntz looks to make his way into the pits here. Nick Miller will join him. The leaders now making pit stops, and we always say it. This is the money stop for these drivers. What happens here could be pivotal in the entirety of this race. Sartaj Mann just behind them there, making his way into the pits. So we got 3 of our playoff drivers making their way into the pits.
Well, I was going to say, man, you see one playoff driver go in, you better follow him. Do the same thing. Nick Miller doesn't want to lose any points to Jordan Kuntz, so he's like, I'm just going to follow in exactly what he does. And, that's what he's going to do. As Brody Garner stays out there with Parker White, and it looks like Landon Mills staying out there along with Cole Williams and Malachi Drake and Colton Lights.
So long run continues here at the track, and this is what we expected. We've seen so many long runs play out during the course of our season here, and particularly in the playoffs. We've seen long green flag runs result in green flag pit stops, and it's good to see that. I like having the mix of the short run and then the long run, because green flag pit stops and being able to maintain pace over a long run is so important when you're running here. You can't just rely on the short run or even a medium run to get yourself to a championship or a regular season title. Like Brody Garner is our regular season champion, you got to be able to have the total performance, being able to run these long runs, and we're seeing that play out here right now. Green flag pit stops underway right now. Brody Garner, Parker White, Landon Mills, Cole Williams, and others have yet to come to pit road so far. The 49 Sartaj Mann just out of the pits, pitted on lap number 99, looking to make his way around the 95 of Parker White and get back to racing in his own race here. Doesn't want to burn up those tires too much fighting for that position.
Yeah, definitely. And with these guys that pitted early, you don't want to see the caution. We've seen it happen numerous times in the past few races where caution just falls at the wrong time in these pit stops. So these guys wanted to cycle through and maybe then see a caution fly maybe 10 laps after the top guys pit, to where everybody can cycle on fresh new tires and the caution wouldn't apply. But obviously different strategies here. We got 7 guys that are still out there on the track that haven't pitted yet. Everybody else is 1 lap down, minus Blaze Brinkley, who is 7 down, looking to become 6 down once he gets by Parker White right here in a second. And then Thor Patterson retired from the race 32 laps down.
The fastest lap of the race right now going to Nick Miller. He's found some speed there in that car after making that pit stop on lap number 99 at 23.79. So that just shows you the difference in speed here as the leaders now make their way into the pits, namely Parker White making his pit stop here.
Yeah, Brody Garner stays out, which is, I think he was saying that he was going to come to pit road, and then Parker said he was coming to pit road, and then Brody stayed out. So it's kind of different strategies right there. And then you got, it looks like everybody else is staying out right now. Noah Allison, Colton Lights, Malachi Drake, Cole Williams, Landon Mills, and Brody Garner are all staying out right now.
Brody Garner making his way into the pits now, actually dropping it down onto the apron and getting it down to that tricky 40 miles an hour, so he'll relinquish the race lead right now to Landon Mills as they exit turn number 4 and come back to the start finish line. Landon Mills looking to lead some laps here. He has 5 top 5s and 6 top 10s in the last 7 races, and as we mentioned earlier, he served as a reserve driver for the 55 last race at Las Vegas. Pretty strong season for him. Just came up short in the playoffs at Dover to miss this final round, but trying to get a good conclusion to his season here as he brings the car on the pit road, and the lead is going to be inherited by, it looks like, the 42 of Cole Williams.
Back out front for Cole Williams. I think a familiar spot we've seen him in past seasons, but back out front, obviously hasn't pitted yet, but getting some laps led here before he comes down pit road.
Yeah, remember these guys got pretty strung out during the course of this long green flag run, dating back to right around lap 42 or so is right when we got the green flag. So it's been a long run here. These guys got really spread out during the course of this run, and that's going to affect how we cycle around here. But right now, Cole Williams, the race leader, 4 seconds back to Malachi Drake, who has yet to come to pit road. Colton Lights, Noah Allison also haven't yet to come to pit road. But Jordan Kuntz now, the first among the drivers who has come down to complete a pit stop.
Jordan Kuntz ahead of Nick Miller, which we've cycled to the lead. Then you got Parker White, who's right behind Nick Miller. So we know he has fresher tires than the 2 in front of him. So he should make easy pass on those. And then you got Latham Joyner and then Brody Garner. Brody Garner's getting around Latham right now for that spot. So it's going to be really who has the best tires here at the end of this race as we're coming to 40 to go shortly.
Yeah, this race really flew by. We talked about it in qualifying, how fast this race is going to go by once we get going here. And when you have the long green flag run and you don't have any interruptions from cautions, well, logically, the pace of this race is going to be soaring here at Iowa, and that's what it's been so far. We've seen the lap times go back down to close to what we saw during the opening stanza of the race, and beginning to float between 23, 24 second time bracket for these drivers. But out front right now, presumptively, would be cycling around to be the race leader, be the 99, but closing up is Parker White, and then you see the 19 of Nick Miller settling in behind him.
Yeah, we still have 4 guys that haven't pitted yet, which I don't know if they're just hoping for a caution, because at this point, most of the guys that pitted are getting back on a lead lap. But they're probably, honestly, at this point, hoping for a caution to try to get themselves cycled back to the correct lap with the leaders. But it's going to be tough because a lot of these guys are spread out, not really any hard battles right here. But who knows? Anybody can make a mistake, and in 30-something laps, anything can happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Cole Williams still leading here, your Season 4 Premier Series champion. As we watch Parker White fight with Jordan Kuntz in the 99 coming off turn number 4. They'll be side by side going down into turn number 1. Will we see a bit of a surge there by the 95 into the corner? We see it again. He'll try and carry that momentum through apex off, but here comes the 99. Trying to get back there to the outside. Can't do it because of the superior drive off by Parker White. So now the positions will switch again, and now presumptively Parker White will be the race leader once things cycle around.
White will be the race leader once everybody pits, unless magically Cole Williams, Malachi Drake, Colton Lights, and Noah Allison have more fuel than everybody else to run the distance, but I just don't see it. I mean, they're running a lot slower. I mean, if Cole Williams had enough fuel, maybe he could outbeat them in 25 laps, but I don't see Noah Allison, Colton Lights, and Malachi Drake can hold off the guys that are coming, because Parker White's only 15 seconds behind the leader right now.
Yeah, they're flying around this track right now. Lap number 115 coming to 116. The majority of the cars that are still out there on the track who have yet to come to pit road, last time they were in the pits was lap number 39, which goes all the way back to the end of the stage. So that tells you how long it's been since these drivers have made a pit stop here. The same applies to Colton Lights, who's sitting in a 3rd position, and also Noah Allison, not too far away from them, last on pit road on lap number 39.
Maybe they know something we don't, or like I said, you're just hoping for a caution. I don't really hear anybody clutching it, so that would assume that they're saving fuel. So I don't hear anything like that. So they're definitely. Oh, looks like Noah Allison said he's pitting right now. So Noah Allison is going to be one of the last guys coming down pit road, and Colton Lights looks like this time he's going to be pitting when he comes down to come by pit road.
You see Blaze Brinkley there, still several laps down right now, 6 laps to be exact, as we continue to run here. Computer issues relegating him to a just outside the top 10 position, 14th currently scored right now. As we now see the 48 making that pit stop, as Cody wisely noted there, and he makes his way down there, 40 miles an hour for him. Back on the leader, Cole Williams, Malachi Drake still on the track here running. Let's see if there's any indication he'll bring that 42 on the pit road this time.
Everybody just said pitting in. Malachi Drake's going to be pitting in, so they're coming down right now.
That'll end our cycle here. There goes Sartaj Mann passing by the camera here at the exit of turn number 4. And there goes the 90 of Malachi Drake making his way into the pits there. And got our eyes on the leader. Parker White exiting turn number 4. It'll cycle around where he'll be the race leader with Jordan Kuntz in the 2nd position, then Nick Miller and Brody Garner the top 4.
Now it's about who has the best tires, who stays green. Brody's trying to make up spots. He has his eyes set on Nick Miller, who's right in front of him, and even Jordan Kuntz, who's right in front of Nick Miller. So obviously those 2 spots he wants to grab. Parker White looks like he's stretching it out right now. Jordan Kuntz not really saving any tire right now. So obviously Parker's going to push it as hard as he can. And as he takes the lead over from after everybody pits right there. So now he's back to the lead. Jordan Cruz second, Nick Miller, Brody Garner, and it looks like Latham Joyner is going to be fifth.
Roughly 5 to 6 laps difference in terms of last time these drivers were on pit road or when they made that last pit stop there. Parker White pitted on lap number 105. That's compared to Jordan Kuntz, who pitted on lap number 99. So just a handful of laps there may not seem like a lot in the grand scheme of things, but when you talk about tire preservation in tire life, it's massive, and you're already seeing it pay off here. The slightly fresher tires benefiting the 95 Parker White right now as they run, and helping the 55 Brody Garner as he tries to make his way through this traffic and close the gap. For Parker White, now being the leader, you can run this race a little bit differently, but for Brody Garner, you're kind of forced to be up on the wheel here if you want to try and cut down some of this deficit you have, and yet again finds himself back in a battle with Nick Miller, the driver he's trying to close up on in points.
Tried himself in the battle, and we want to make note of how much of a difference hitting that late for Cole Williams was. Well, he's 19 seconds behind the leader. He lost that much time. Obviously, he has fresher tires. He did just gain a chunk right there on the leader, but he lost a lot of time, and I really don't think those fresh tires are going to be enough to get into the lead, but it'll probably get into a top 5 spot, honestly, with the speed he has in that car right now.
Last on pit road, lap number 118. So just a few laps ago, that 42 came into the pits after leading a good portion of the race there, getting out front our Season 4 Premier Series champion. Good to hear he'll be back for Season 6. We'll see what he can do when he's out there in that Ford or whatever manufacturer he'll be running for with Nebula Esports. But a solid night for him so far. Back down into the 8th position, which is where he's been for much of that green flag run, and off the low of where he was, which was right around the 12th position. So a good night for him there, trying to add a little more to it and apply pressure to fellow Nebula Esports car Sartaj Man, who continues just to have a pretty quiet night there in the 49, a bit of damage there on the right side of that car. He started in 7th, he's currently running 7th, so not much forward momentum, but hasn't dropped back in the field either, but that may change here as they work the turns 3 and 4, as Cole Williams applies pressure and moves by with ease on the 49, dropping Sartaj Man back to 8th.
Cole Williams putting Sartaj Man back another spot, and Cole's still gaining time while making passes, and so a pass from the 5th spot. Landon Mills took over that spot from Latham Joyner. As long run continues, we've been almost green for almost coming up on 100 laps. By the time we end this race, it'll be 100 laps if it stays green all the way.
Absolutely. So 25 laps to go here at Iowa. We talked about Landon Mills and how good he's been this season. 5 top 5, 6 top 10s in the last 7 races. That 25 has been incredibly consistent, and one of the leaders at Nebula Esports. They have a lot of wins over there in that stable, but he's been one of those star drivers there, part of the playoff contingent that was part of the series here. As he blinks away, he's back with us now. He was part of the playoffs for much of it, but came up just a little bit short at Dover a few weeks ago. Even still, you cannot discount the season he's had. 1 win so far this season back at Michigan in early October. Has been pretty close here often this season, and looking to keep the momentum going towards Season 6.
Definitely looking to keep the momentum going, and glad to have him as a sponsor, glad to have him in the series, and glad to see him running well. So next season, I look, if he can run all the races and not miss any races like he did this season, not have any hiccup, he'd definitely be a hard guy to beat. Be able to mount the challenge to the likes of Brody Garner, Jordan Kuntz, and several others that'll be returning.
Absolutely. So back out front here, leading this race with 22 to go. It's Parker White. We talked about it earlier. He only has 1 oval win so far this season back at Texas Motor Speedway in the playoffs, and now looking to try and add to his repertoire of race victories, as we mentioned earlier. Indy Road was where he got his first victory this season, and then got another one at Charlotte Roval and Texas this season. So trying to make it 4 here, and he's really been incredibly consistent when he's able to get himself into the position he needs to be for these races, and trying to make it 4 now this season.
Trying to make it 4, and when we look at the guy running second, Jordan Kuntz, we know what he said. He doesn't like this track. He's never had a top 5 here, this, that, and the other. But finishing second to Parker White, you got to think of that as like a win, because you got to imagine if he's not here, you'd be the guy winning this race. So obviously Jordan doing what he needs to do to put himself in a good position going to Homestead next week.
1 win, 17 top 10s for Jordan Kuntz. He's leading the drivers, or among the leaders, in top 10 finishes this season. An incredible stat to have, really racking up the consistent finishes for him, and he's looking to build on that here. Sitting in the 2nd position, the 90 there. He came to pit road on lap number 118, so slightly different tire strategy for that car as he works through traffic here, and the traffic maybe slowing down just a little bit, that Jordan Kuhn's machine. The lead now 4 seconds nearly for Parker White, hovering around 3.8.
Once Parker took the lead, we see it a lot of time. He just sets sail, and obviously doing it here again. He did have a lot of challenges though tonight. It wasn't easy, but definitely once he got the lead and able to make his own pace, he was able to keep it, and he's showing that he has speed here like every other track he comes to.
18 laps to go. Let's go ahead and talk about our last race back at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Dylan Alt, the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series driver, going to victory lane just over 0.3 of a second ahead of Nick Miller. Jordan Kuntz on the podium yet again, something he's been doing a lot this season, finishing third. Sartaj man fourth, and Storm Patterson being a top 5 in that race. Unfortunate night for him. He'll finish around the 15th position tonight, and as you see there, the season will come to an end at Homestead Miami Speedway next week, and we'll crown our season 5 champion. While we talk about last race, we'll look at our clean race finishers and the drivers who were able to work their way through the field and get themselves a good finish while also keeping the incident count at 0. Dylan Alt stayed in first, keeping it clean there. Jordan Kuntz gained a spot in the race to finish third, and Sartaj man finished clean but finished down 1 spot into 4th position. 62 incidents among 10 drivers, and whenever we have clean race finishers, we'll always profile them thanks to our partners at Arundel Auto Detailing.
Yeah, it looks like if that stat stays the same, we'll only have looks like 30 incidents this race. So it's been a very clean race for everybody getting this field. Only 1 caution for an incident, and that was with Blaze Brinkley and Aaron Brown earlier in the race before the stage end. And everything else has been pretty much smooth sailing for the rest of the race. So you got kept it clean and definitely putting the battles out there while keeping it clean. So it's been impressive to watch.
You know, watching these guys, you see the gap between Parker White. Here comes Jordan Kuntz and Nick Miller. So big gap forming there. And Brody Garner engaged in battle here. You got the 24 to his inside. The 24 of Noah Allison is in 11th position, so he'll get that spot away, putting him back into 4th. So Jordan Kuntz, Nick Miller, Brody Garner, positions 2 through 4, and then back to Sartaj man 8th, and Blaze Brinkley trapped into 13th position after computer issues, putting him nearly a dozen laps down. We talk about our championship drivers, 3 of them rising to the occasion here. 1 just not able to find the speed he needs tonight and really has to lean on having a tremendous run when we go to a track like Homestead Miami next race, which again presents its own favoritism, I guess, or strengths to some drivers here in the series, where we've seen the 55 be very strong on those 1.5 mile ovals.
Yeah, very strong, but you know, if nothing changes here, he's gonna have a really caution's out.
24 sideways there, goes for a ride. The 48 as well. Yellow flag out here, like contact coming off turn number 3, putting out the yellow flag here between those 2 drivers. I think Brody Garner was just near that, probably breathed a sigh of relief to get away from that situation.
Caution on the 48. Looks like he just barely got, looks like he lost the nose.
Very common to happen in that part of the track as well. The car gets really light off the corner there. You see Landon Mills trying to stay away from that incident as well. Just lost the nose there, and that quick jerk back to the right side of the track and into the safer barrier. One more time. It's a hard impact for Colton Lights there, and the 24 goes for a spin, gets it back going as we jump back to our live pictures here at the track. Things just got more interesting here. Pit road will be open for these drivers to make stops, and they'll obviously come in for tires and fuel. Let's see how this plays out here. The leaders make their way into Iowa's pit road. Very interesting here. The majority of the field making stops here. Remember, most of the field is a number of drivers a lap down here as they make these stops. So basically 8 cars coming in for what should be, with some hope, is their final stop here. Certainly no shortage of tires for these drivers in their stalls here. Parker White hitting his pit box here as they now settle in to get their final stop on the way. Jordan Kuntz getting into his box, and there's the 55, your pole sitter there, sliding in into 55. So let's see how this plays out here. How will they get off pit road? What will this mean for the restart? Jordan Kuntz doesn't want to repeat of what we saw last time when we were on pit road. Needs to have a good stop there. Good stop he does have indeed. He'll get out second. Brody Garner, he'll come out into 5th position. Cole Williams, he'll come right around 7th. So Parker White back out front here, wins the race off pit road. Jordan Kuntz will look to restart in the 2nd position. Nick Miller, Brody Garner, Landon Mills, the top 5.
This is going to be setting up for a wild one, let me tell you.
Very similar to what we saw last race back at Las Vegas. Late caution flag coming out right around the same lap too. If you look back at the previous broadcast here on the channel and on the YouTube channel as well. I need to link that here on the channel instead of just saying it. But in any case, similar situation there where the leader out front got a nice gap on the field or a bit of comfort on the field. Caution flag comes out, brings them all back together with only a handful of laps left. Everyone now taking fresh tires and fuel. What will this mean for the rest of the race here? And maybe not even fuel, because we know that can change the handle of these cars. So we know they're always thinking about so much when they're out there running, how much fuel to put in the car, if they're even going to put fuel in there, all the things they need to get that car to behave the way they need it to, especially when there are only probably going to be just over a half dozen laps left once we get the green flag.
It's going to be tough. Definitely going to be tough for everybody. They ain't going to save tires this time, I can tell you that.
No, not at all. And then you got to wonder, if you have another quick yellow, do you come back down again and try and get another set of tires? What are you going to do there? And what is your strategy going to be? So many things will start going through your head is what I'm getting at. And what's going to happen is we overthink and outplay yourself in terms of strategy. I'm sure they're thinking about it here. 8 laps to go here at Iowa Speedway. Caution flag out for only the second time today for an on-track incident. 3 overall when you count the stage. So, a bit of a reset here. The first time we've been behind a pace car in dozens of laps.
Almost 100 laps right there.
Absolutely.
We didn't get it though. It was close, but it was definitely fun to see how everybody ran that race, and we got to a full fuel window. They all pitted, and now they got to figure out with new tires what to do. And we know Jordan Coons has been quick on the short runs, and now Brody Garner has some life. He can probably go up there and try to battle with Parker White and Jordan Coons. He started on the outside. That's probably the spot where he wants to be starting for both Jordan Coons and Brody Garner, unless Parker picks the outside, which don't see anything yet out of Parker.
Well, we'll be watching these drivers as we get ready for the restart here. And, for a driver like Brody Gardner, who found himself a sail here on the field, this certainly plays into his favor as well, kind of granting him a reprieve from I'd say he was pretty a sail from the field there. It was a lot of distance he was going to have to try and make up to be part of an opportunity to win here. Now kind of the tables have opened up, but it's opened up for a number of drivers here to be able to try and get a better position in this race. Sartaj Man is only 2 spots away from a top 5 right now as we currently run. 2 to 3 spots. They continue to fluctuate here a little bit. So really, it's at their grasp right now how aggressive they're going to be to try and grab these few spots. And it's not just an overtime finish. This is not just a green-white checker. You got a few laps to try and get this job done, a half dozen to be exact.
Will there be another caution? Who knows? We're about to find out right now how hard these guys push on this final restart.
Pace car makes its way. We'll see. Pace car makes its way in. Green flag is back out here at Iowa, and they're already getting racy for the second position. Great jump there for the 19, but the 99 will continue to fight on the outside line, working through turns 1 and 2, sliding up the track. In front of him goes Nick Miller, and the 3 is sideways. And the 42 goes around as well. Hard impact into the wall for them. Currently still green. The 95 drives away here.
No caution. iRacing didn't want to throw it for whatever reason.
5 laps to go right now. The battle for the 3rd position continues behind the 19 as Jordan Coons jockeys with the 55 of Brody Gardner. All of this calamity helping Parker White drive away here. The lead now about 0.4 of a second. Down to the low side goes Jordan Coons. High goes the 19 and the 55.
And what a bad restart for Jordan Coons, but he still has those 2 guys in bay. And what will happen? Will there be contact between those 2? Because Brody needs every spot possible, so he's going to try everything possible to get around him. As he gets sideways off the corner.
He's going to use every bit of real estate he can, all the rubber that's on that car, and everything he can do to try and get these spots. But here comes a surging Jordan Coons down to the low side, racing off the corner. He'll try and fight to get back there. They continue to jockey for position. It cools down again as they head down into turn number 1, and the yellow flag is out here for the 4th time this evening, 3rd for an on-track incident. Like Noah Allison having some issues there. So caution out here, and we'll likely get an overtime finish as we'll get our eyes on what may happen there.
Caution on the 24. It looks like he was just trying to get into the corner and had to check up. Had to check up for Henry, number 5, and obviously nowhere to go.
If you watched again on the replay, down into turn 3. And then it ended up getting collected in that as well. That's why we're behind the pace car here yet again, 4th time this evening. And we got our eyes on the leaders getting ready to work toward turn number 3. What will happen when they come past pit road? Will they go ahead and stay out? Likely will. I expect these drivers mostly to stay out here as we pass by and get ready for an overtime finish.
Well, one guy's going to be back in the lead lap. Blaze Brinkley. It took every single lap of this race to get back on the lead lap. So he's going to get back on the lead lap after this caution and maybe make up some ground and not lose as many points as he thought he was going to tonight.
6 drivers opt to stay out during this caution. Sartaj Mann will be the first driver on the pit road, bringing Henry Tabor, Cole Williams, Latham Joyner, and Noah Allison along with them. We saw what happened to Cole Williams earlier in the race there, involved in a crash right around the opening stanza of that restart.
Yeah, that was weird. Why iRacing didn't throw a caution? I guess because they both slid off the racing surface. But it even took a while for them to throw a caution for Noah and Henry's wreck, and Noah was just sitting in the middle of the track. So iRacing's a little slow lately. I love iRacing, but at the same time, it's a love-hate relationship. So you see right there in the replay, they spun off the track, so I guess that's why it didn't get thrown. But one of those things, man. Just and we even see championship contender right there, the 49 of Sartaj Mann, get damaged.
Yeah, you see the damage on the front end of that car, right around the left headlight when we're looking at that car, damage right around that part of the car, and hopefully not going to hurt that car too much. But right now, looking to restart around the 7th position. The leaders opting to stay out on the track, so as they run, Parker White will be the race leader. Nick Miller, Brody Garner, Jordan Kuntz, Landon Mills, top 5. Malachi Drake, Sartaj Mann, Latham Joyner, currently scored in the 8th position. Blaze Brinkley, now finally back on the lead lap, scored in the 9th position, ran as low as around 15th.
Yeah, so, man, another restart. What's going to happen here? Will we get another caution? Could we have more green white checkers to use?
Well, I think what's going to be very exciting to see is how that opening start, those opening moments of this restart goes, particularly that battle for the 2nd position. How aggressive that battle going to be? How effective can the 95 pull away from this group right at the exit of turn number 4, and then timing the restart? We haven't talked about that much here of late, but that's such an art here on iRacing and in real life too. When you watch these guys prepare to restart, timing it to be able to stay in step with that car you're racing and apply that pressure, because that can change the complexion of this race as well.
Definitely, and looks like we're getting 1 to go right now, and everybody's getting lined up. Parker's taking the outside, which might be beneficial to the 99 of Jordan Kuntz. He'll be restarting right behind him, so hopefully this time he'll have a better restart.
We've seen some crazy overtime finishes here. Let's go back and think of Nashville Super Speedway and the show we saw there in the Music City, how exciting that finish was, and it ended in a crash coming off turn number 4, collecting a number of drivers. Going to victory lane that day was Nick Miller. Let's see what happens when we get ready for this restart. Parker White up 15 spots on the night. He likes to ride in the back and work his way to the front. Hasn't had the easiest time to get that job done, but when he's been out front, he has pulled away from the field here. And now we look to get ready for the restarts. Overtime here at Iowa. Pace car going to go and make its way down into the pits. The field back under the control of Parker White. Looking to get that green flag. They're roaring back to life. We're back underway here. 2 laps to go here at Iowa. 3 wide behind them, and the 95 able to pull away there. And now 3 wide in the middle of the pack.
Well, he was loose. Latham Joyner was loose. Wow, what a save by Latham.
Down into turn number 3, single file for the first 4 cars in the upper lane. The 95 looks to receive the white flag. White flag in the air. He will grab it there. 1 lap to go here at Iowa, presented by Cory Harts Media. Down into the corner, Brody Garner shoving the 99 up into the wall there to grab the 3rd position away, and now he's put into the Hornet's nest. Because of that, everyone trying to dive bomb around the 55, making a move there up into the wall. It was a 99 off the corner. He crashes in a big crash off turn number 4, all as Parker White receives the victory here at Iowa Speedway. And that's massive championship implications there.
Massive championship implication there, and wow, Parker Wright wins, and Nick Miller, Brody Garner, Sartaj Man, and Blaze Brinkley fifth.
There's your race winner there. Parker White, 4th win this season after chaos ensues during that last lap. I'm sure that's going to be a topic for conversation during the course of our race here, a broadcast here once we start doing our interviews. What a moment there.
Oh man, another win for Parker White, and Cole Williams is stuck in the catch fence after that wreck.
Yeah, that's a rough place to be there.
I think he's still past the start finish line, so that's good to hear. I think he's okay. He is talking, so that's also
that's
great
good.
to hear,
so we're going to take a moment here and kind of look back and see if we can kind of get a look at what happened on that last lap there and watch Jordan Kuntz. We saw the 55 really drive it in deep there into that corner and just tried to slide job it and just really just sent that 99 up into the wall there off the corner. So Brody Garner moves into 3rd, which created a traffic jam down the back stretch. You see everyone just trying to fly around and figure out where to go. Maybe the 99 just didn't have the handling of that car anymore, which led to a big crash here off the corner. A massive impact there. Landon Mills coming across the line backward into the fence, finishing 9th. Jordan Kuntz finishing 10th after running aside the top 3 much of the night.
It just looks like he missed the corner. He could have had more damage than he thought because obviously he hit the wall a ton. So,
yeah, absolutely. So we'll certainly be talking to our drivers here. We'll be talking to Blaze Brinkley, Sartaj Man, Brody Gardner, Nick Miller, and our race winner Parker White this evening as they start to file into the waiting room there. And that incident at one lap could shake up the entire complexion of these playoffs here. Nick Miller able to survive a lot of that calamity, moving up into the 2nd position to end the night in the race, and then Brody Gardner finishing right behind him in 3rd in the race. So not able to try and claw back some of that gap there, but obviously a lot of what he did tonight may help his cause going into Homestead next race. Sartaj Man, after having a pretty quiet night there, not seeing much from him, able to survive and get to 4th. And Blaze Brinkley, we talked about his struggles, computer issues, finishing in the 5th position after being as many as nearly a dozen laps down.
what a recovery. What a recovery from him.
Yeah, absolutely. So waiting for these drivers to begin filing into the broadcast waiting room there to start hearing from them and get their insights on the race. And a race that saw a mix of everything. We saw the long green flag run, and we saw the short run rear its head, and then eventually we saw what happened at the end there, overtime finish. One of the first overtime finishes we've had in a while this season. So waiting for Blaze Brinkley to go ahead and join us in the booth, and we'll start dragging these drivers in to hear from them and get their insights on the night here, because man, did Blaze Brinkley have a evening here, being nearly a dozen laps down. He'll finish in 5th after avoiding a lot of the calamity that broke out on the last lap. Blaze Brinkley, talk to us about your night and this 5th place finish and what it means for you in this championship fight.
Yeah, it really sucks that whatever happened with the internet or server, I don't know, whatever happened to make me lag out kind of really put a damper on the championship the past 2 weeks, because I really feel like the past 2 weeks I could have finished top 3 guaranteed. I never even got a chance to go this race. It just kind of sucks, but luckily the cautions kind of fell my way at the end, and I was able to get my lap back. Fortunately, I really didn't think I was ever going to get them back, but ended up working out all right.
So when you were able to get the car back where you wanted and start trying to fight for position, how did it feel out there when you were running? And had you not had those challenges, where do you think you could have put that car at the end of this race?
Just kind of based on how fast I was against all the leaders when I was around them. I don't know that I would have had anything for Parker. He's really good at this stuff. He's hard to beat in these cars, and he's really good. I don't know if I would have had anything for him, but I definitely think I could have finished 2nd or 3rd.
So now we turn our attention to Homestead, Miami, and of course we're still calculating the points here. But when we get to Homestead, what do you feel? How do you feel about your opportunities going in there? And even if maybe you're not part of the picture necessarily, you have a lot to do to get to be part of that picture. How do you think you can run there? Is it a track you like to run at?
It's all right, only because it's not really a bottom track, so you kind of move around a little bit more, which I like racetracks where you can kind of move around a little bit. Hopefully we don't just get stuck in one groove and we're not slow.
Well, we'll keep our eyes on you as you run here and hope that the connection issues stabilize for you to be able to put up a fight when we head to Homestead, Miami. Next race, anyone you want to shout out or mention as you enjoy a top 5 finish here this evening?
Yeah, JHCD Raps for keeping me looking good.
Awesome. Well, always good hearing from you. Congratulations on being able to persevere over the challenge of the night and get yourself a top 5. And we'll see what you can do when we crown our champion next week at Homestead. And hopefully it'll be you. So we'll see what you can do when we go there next week.
Yep, thank you. Thank you for broadcasting all these races too.
No problem. Always glad to be here and look forward to seeing what you guys do as we continue to advance through the playoffs here. The next driver we'll bring in would be the driver of the 49, who had a pretty quiet night out there on the track and then eventually was able to get himself in position to avoid a lot of that calamity at the end to finish 4th this evening, keeping a good streak of finishes going. Is Sartaj Man. You got us.
I got you.
So talk about your night out there. You kind of hovered just inside the top 10 for much of the evening, and it seemed like maybe opportunity presented itself for you to be able to move your way through the field. Talk about the end of the race there and being able to get in position there and avoid a lot of the chaos that happened at the end.
You know, all I can say is, I would say it's 90% luck that I got 4th. I mean, another part was that last caution. I was pretty much the first, I was the first car that pretty much took tires. So, I had an advantage over the rest of the guys in front of me, which helped me out against Landon. But, yeah, I mean, I wasn't anywhere near quick enough. And if it's going to be a seat I'm going to show next week, I mean, I'm not going to win the championship. But,
well,
yeah.
Anything can happen here. We thought this race was going to finish pretty much under green, and then things started getting spicy toward the end. But we'll ask you about Homestead and your thoughts on the track. So is it a track that you don't really consider to be part of your, I guess, top 10 favorite tracks here on the service? What are your thoughts on Homestead?
I mean, I'm usually good on Mountain House, but that one, it's really 50-50 as well as with this track. But I mean, I'm pretty confident at Homestead as well. But hopefully I do good there. I'd say favorite tracks, yes, I'd say it's top 10 because I just like racing the track. Speed wise, I don't know. It depends.
Well, we hope that it plays into your favor and you're able to put up a fight for this title next race. And, it's been a great season for Nebula, and you've been part of that picture here. When you look at your season overall, turning your attention to next week, what do you think of your season? How would you rate it?
I mean, I'd rate it a good 8 out of 10 just for being able to have a shot at a championship at the end. And, it'll probably only be just me at a shot at it. But, yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Well, we look forward to seeing what you do when we head to Florida to crown our champion. Anyone you want to shout out or mention before we let you go enjoy this 4th place finish?
Nope, nobody.
All right. Well, always good having you in here. I look forward to seeing what you do when we head to Homestead next week.
All right. Thank you.
All right. We'll keep moving through our interviews here. The driver who will be on the first step of the podium is one who really just made some moves to get up there at the end of the race. We'll talk to him and ask him about those moves at the end. It's Brody Garner looking to rebound from Las Vegas and now get himself back into the hunt here as we look toward Homestead, Miami next race. Finished 3rd here at Iowa Speedway. Brody Garner, do you got us?
Yep, I got you.
So talk about your night here at Iowa Speedway. I'm already thinking about Homestead. I'm so excited. Talk about your night here at Iowa. How was the car? How were you attacking the track? And then let's fast forward to the end of that race, the final restart. What happened there toward the end of that run?
Well, I got a bad restart, and I had to try something to keep my championship alive. Race didn't go the way I wanted in that second half, and I went in, sent it super deep, tried to get onto Jordan's door, get him up the track just a little bit so I could take the run down in the 3 and 4, but I went in way too deep and put him in the wall. It was a really dirty move. It was not what I was intending to do, and it was 100% my fault. But yeah, then ended up getting 3rd because of that. But yeah, I just want to say sorry to Jordan. That's not what I meant to do, and it screwed him over.
So now we turn our attention to Homestead next race, and as we've talked about over the season, you've been one of the strongest drivers on 1.5 mile tracks. What are your thoughts on that facility, and do you think you can use that a performance at that track to win yourself a championship?
Well, it's a must win. If I can get the win there and a win in the stage or a second in the stage, then I can win the championship. But it's going to be tough. I'm 13 points down on Nick right now. And then Jordan's 9 down on Nick. So I don't know.
So
It's gonna. Homestead is my worst mile and a half. But we'll try to pull something out to win this championship.
So even before we get to Florida next week, when you look back at your season, how do you rate your performance? 7 wins this season, a tremendous streak you're on right now with top 10 finishes, and overall your performance. What do you think of how you've done this season?
I think my season has been great. Just unfortunately, I'm in a bad situation here because of other things. So I don't think this championship position, no matter where I finish, represents my season. But overall, I think I did good. Just sucks that I probably won't win the championship. Not saying I won't, but it's going to be a tough hill to climb.
Well, as a Tony Stewart fan who watched Carl Edwards and himself battle for a championship there and how razor thin the margins were there, anything can happen. And we'll certainly be watching this race next week to see what you guys can do. And I'm certain you'll put on a good show, and I'm sure you'll lay it all out there on the table. And we wish you the best of luck. And before we let you go, is there anyone you want to shout out or mention as you enjoy another top 5 finish? What has been a chain of them this season, and a chain of top 10s as well?
Like to thank Nebula Esports, all the guys out there, Cody for putting the races on, giving us a payout, and you for putting the broadcast on.
I appreciate it and look forward to seeing what you guys do next week when we crown our champion and what kind of show you give us in Homestead. And congratulations again on finishing 3rd here at Iowa. All right, we'll keep moving
Thanks.
through. We'll keep moving through our interviews here. The next driver we'll bring in is our runner-up, Nick Miller, who has done that a lot here in the playoffs, finishing in the 2nd position, coming up just close to the win there, finishing on the 2nd step of the podium. His driver, the 19 Supra. Nick Miller, do you got us?
Yeah, I got you.
So talk about your night out there here at Iowa. What was the car like and what was the racing like? And then take us back to the end of that race. I'm sure you saw some of that calamity breaking out in your mirror and probably breathed a sigh of relief that you weren't there in it.
I don't know. It was a little different. Usually Iowa's kind of fun, multi-groove, bottom top, but really it was just top. It looked like there the entire race. There's like no fault. Well, if there was fall off, it didn't really matter what line you ran. It didn't save anything. At least I didn't think it did. So it was really hard to pass. A lot of sliders being thrown and whatnot. And I mean, I think just the setup in the car overall was kind of the reasoning for that green white checkered wreck there. Just can't really pass. You're just going for it at the end of the season. Yeah, someone got doored, and then I guess you want to go back at him. I mean, that's 2 chase drivers going at it. So definitely glad I was ahead of that. As just trying to stay out of trouble after we got a good finish at Vegas last week.
So you've gotten 4 podium finishes in the last 8 races, and you turn your attention to Homestead Miami Speedway. What are your thoughts on that track? You've won at Nashville. I've got it right this time. You won at Nashville, Bristol, and Phoenix. Do you think you can find yourself a 1.5 mile oval win and help yourself win a championship next week in Homestead?
I wish I could, but I mean, I doubt it. Homestead, over the years of its updated transition on iRacing, it has not really suited the best. I just kind of run. I'll run top 5, I'm sure, but I won't be kind of like a domination fashion. I don't know if I've dominated any races this season, but it won't be anything exciting. I'll just try to stay in the top 5, probably, and just get some good points here to hopefully secure the championship and not choke it like I did with the regular season.
Well, as I've asked the drivers here when I've had them in the booth, when you look at your season, as you turn your attention to Homestead, how do you rate your season here? I know it was a big deal for you to break through and get not just the 1 win back at Phoenix, but then to follow it up with that win at Bristol as well. Winning multiple times this season, being consistent, being right there in the thick of things for the regular season title, and being one of the most consistent drivers in the playoffs. How do you rate your season as we look to the end of this season?
I really don't want to jinx it, so ask me that one next week, and I'll have a for sure answer whether there'll be no jinxing happening.
Sounds good. So before we let you go, is there anyone you want to shout out or mention?
The team, Landon for the paint. If you want to catch more of me driving recklessly as I always do, catch you on I don't know what channel it's gonna be on, but FTF starting soon in the team sponsored car with Landon on the side. Shout out Landon for that paint as well. So, yep, that's about it.
Awesome. Always good talking to you, and we wish you the best when we head to Homestead, Miami to crown our champion next week.
Yep, thank you.
All right, and that means we'll be bringing in our race winner after this, who has gone to victory lane here 4 times this season. It's Parker White getting a win here at Iowa. That's another win here in the playoffs, but he's not even a playoff driver. That's 3 wins inside the playoffs for him. Driver of the 95 Supra, Parker White, you got us.
Yeah, I got you.
So talk to us about your night out there. You started toward the back, and we always say, well, he'll be up there eventually. You slowly cut your way through the field and found your way up 10 spots pretty early in the race, about lap 6 or so, and it seemed like you were able to keep pace there. Talk about your night, and I wanted to ask you, on that restart right after the stage ended, you kind of dropped back there. Was that by design?
Yeah, I was just gonna sit back and save some tires because I knew that that could have been a pretty long run, and it was. We got to green flag stops, and I got the lead before that, which was my goal. By then, it wasn't gonna be a big deal, but I was able to pull about a second on Brody, and we got to green flag stops, and I pulled him by I think like 3 or so seconds, and he took 2, and I took 4, and I still pulled him. I think he just got a worse entry than I did, so I knew that as long as I could just get past Jordan and Nick, I'd be fine. And if we got a caution when everyone cycled through, I should be fine. Um, then with like 10 to go, we got the weekly release where it's intended caution. So I was kind of expecting that. So that happened. And then I had to pit. Then we had to go through another restart. And then another caution came out. But now that I think it was a pretty uneventful race, just it was pretty fun driving the track in the car. But other than that, there isn't really much to talk about.
Yeah, it was pretty exciting there toward the end. We saw the incidents breaking out there. When we look at your season overall, that's your 4th win this season, though you're not part of the playoff picture. Heading to Homestead, what are your thoughts on that track? Do you think you can get yourself another win and make it 5?
Yeah, I really like Homestead. I think it's one of my best tracks, so I'll probably race next week if we're going to be at Homestead.
Yeah, we'll be concluding the season there and crowning a champion at Homestead. And we know you've kind of been running a part-time schedule here, but when you talk about the race you've run and the quality of the race you've run, winning on 2 road courses and now 2 ovals, how do you rate your season, even if it's on a part-time basis?
I've rated pretty good. I didn't have any luck when I was actually trying to run for points, so I just came back and just like ran on one off. So I'd rate it pretty good.
Well, we look forward to seeing what you do when we get ready to head to Homestead, Florida for our final race of the season. But again, congratulations on getting that 4th win here. Is there anyone you want to shout out or mention as you enjoy this victory?
Yeah, I just gotta thank you, Mike, for the broadcast, Cody and all the admins for putting on the league, North Source Racing and SRD Setups.
Awesome. Well, always good talking to you here. And we look forward to seeing what you do when we head down to Florida for the season finale. So congratulations again, Parker White, going to victory lane here in Iowa.
All right, thank you, Mike.
All right, now wrap up our interviews here and we turn our attention to Florida, Homestead Miami Speedway, and there's a lot on the line. If you want to kind of read out the points to the viewers here as we get ready to wrap up so they kind of can start thinking about mulling over what the scenarios look like for these drivers going into Florida.
Scenario, if they stay, it 9 points out for Kuntz and Sartaj, and then 13 out for Brody, and Blade Brinkley is going to need a lot of guys to show up next week to being 21 out. So Nick Miller, obviously he doesn't need to light the world on fire next week, but needs to do what he's been doing in recent weeks to maintain it. And I also do say as they stand and stay, that's what it's at, because anything can happen as far as penalties going forward with the last lap that happened and transpired between Brody, Jordan, and the rest of the field. So obviously we want clean racing. Racing happens. We'll see exactly what transpires, but I don't think much is going to happen, but definitely second on back need to have an outstanding race next week. And I would say some of them definitely need a lobby to try to get some more drivers to show up, because, if Nick Miller has a bad race and there's 25 guys in the race and he finished 20th, Jordan and Sartaj, Brody, even Blaze, they only need to do is finish top 5 and they can grab the championship. So, it's going to be something wild next week, but anything is possible.
Yeah, absolutely. So, getting ready to turn our attention to that race and the end of our season here, season number 5. And the thing we'll also be showcasing is the season 6 schedule, looking at where we're going once we get to the springtime here on iRacing. That's going to be exciting to look forward to. And I look forward to showcasing that schedule here and crowning a champion next week, right for my birthday. So that's going to be a fun way to spend the birthday weekend. So with that, we'll go ahead and wrap up things here. Congratulations to our race winner, Parker White, going to victory lane for the 4th time this season and 3rd during the playoffs here. That's a pretty interesting stat there. 3rd win in the playoffs here for Parker White, though he's only running 4 of those trophies that you heard him talk about, his part-time ambitions here as the season concludes. And a tight battle for the championship will begin when we head to Homestead next week.